Welcome to another video by Jitterbit. In this video, we're going to cover how quickly you can integrate Salesforce with other data sources such as databases. In our case, we're going to be actually pushing data from Salesforce into a SQL Server residing on Amazon Web Services. So what you're looking at right now is our design studio. This gets either deployed on a PC or a Mac, and a integration developer or a technical business analyst can create integrations very quickly with all the different components that are available to them. On the left side, you have all the different actions and all the different components that have been built, including operations, transformation, sources, and targets, web services, APIs, scheduling capabilities, and as well as our connectors into Salesforce Wave Analytics or Einstein, as well as our Salesforce connector and a variety of different enterprise applications such as SAP, NetSuite, Autodesk, and Microsoft Dynamics family. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and actually create a new query from Salesforce and then go through the process of pushing it into a SQL Server database. So by clicking on this Salesforce query, I'm going to go ahead and click a new query in Salesforce. As you can see, I've already provided my credentials, and we can do a quick test, make sure the information I've provided is accurate and I'm successfully connected. And now I'm going through the wizard, as you can see across the top, all the different steps that I need to go through without writing a code and connecting to my source as well as my target. So I'm going to go ahead and press next, and this presents all the objects that are available in Salesforce, including both standard objects as well as custom objects. I'm going to go ahead and search for accounts, and I'm going to pick it and click next. On the left-hand side, I'm presented with all the fields that are available, including all the custom fields that I've created, as you can see with the __C. I'm going to pick a couple of these fields. I'm going to pick, let's say, name, billing city. Let's go ahead and pick postal code, state, street, and let's also pick the name. And we've already picked the ID as well. So we can do a quick test query just to make sure the data that we want is exactly what we want as part of what we want to push to our database. Click next. I'm going to go ahead and pick my target to be database as indicated across the top. I can either create a new connection, or I can use the one that I've already created, which is SQL Server. That's on AWS. Quickly do a test connection, make sure I'm authenticated. Click next. Now I can have my download. I can take a look at all the tables I have access to based on my user credentials, and it's going to Amazon, picking up the tables. The one I want to put the data into is a table called accounts. You can also filter by what you want to search, whether it's tables, views, or system tables. I'll move it over. At this point, on the next screen, I'm able to provide whether I want to be able to insert, update, or do both. I'm going to go ahead and pick insert/update since I have an actual ID associated with this, or a primary key associated with this table. We can do both insert and updates. Click next, and if there's a schedule I want to do this, maybe every hour, every 5 minutes, or every day. I'm just going to not schedule anything at this time. This gives me a summary of all the different components and all the things that are going to be eventually created. And I also have the ability to do AutoMapper. So I'm just going to go ahead and click Finish. This creates a operation, and that's all I really need. And the only thing I have to do is now map the fields. Notice that this did the mapping from ID from my Salesforce into the ID and database. I'm going to actually go ahead and delete that mapping because I want to actually drag that and put this in a different field called SFDC_ID. And now I'm going to go ahead and actually drag and drop all the different components that I want from my source to go into the target. We already have a sequence built in the SQL Server side, so that way the IDs are going to be auto-generated. And I'm going to go ahead and click Finish. Our connector allows you to briefly look at the component you just made. You can make changes to the name if you want, so I can call it Query Accounts Demo. I'm going to go ahead and save that. And if I go across the top, you see that query account demo has been built out for me. Without writing a single line of code, now I have the ability to take the data from my Salesforce instance into SQL Server. Now, if I want to go back and make changes to my query, I could absolutely do that. And actually, let's go ahead and do that right now. I'm going to go back to my query, and I'm going to go ahead and do a edit. I'm going to actually add a condition here to say if name, which is referring to the name field in Salesforce, like Epicor. And if we do a quick test query, that will give us the results just to make sure we captured everything we needed from our query. And we're going to go ahead and save it. So now that we've defined our Salesforce query, let's go ahead and actually run this operation. But before I run it, let's do a couple of things. First, let's go ahead and look at our Salesforce. And if we do a quick search, we can see that our search is basically picking up all the accounts that have Epicor at the beginning of its name. We have 41 records. And if we go to our SQL Server instance and do a search for everything that has Epicor in it, we should have no records. And if we go back here and execute this operation, what this process is doing is taking our project, deploying it to our cloud, sending the information over, and our agent is going to go pick up the data from Salesforce, transform the data, and send it to SQL Server. Now that the operation is completed, we can go back to our SQL Server instance, execute the same statement, and now we should have 41 records that have Epicor in it available to us. Now notice, as part of the transformation, we also captured the Salesforce ID. What we'd like to do is send this information about the ID of the record that was auto-generated in SQL Server back to a field in Salesforce. In that case, we want to make sure that if we drill into one of the records here, we have a custom field that we've created called database ID. And we want to make sure that database ID is populated with the ID that resides in the database. So let's go back to our design studio. In advance of this recording, I also created an update operation that takes information from the SQL Server and puts it into Salesforce. I'm going to go ahead and actually drag and drop this to our query. So the choice that we're going to make is that if this query is this query from this Salesforce to database is actually successful, we want to run this update statement to actually send the information back to Salesforce. This is how you can easily create operations and chain them together based on success or even on failure. So let's go ahead and actually run this operation now. Again, behind the scene, the project, everything that has to do with this specific flow is being sent to our cloud and executed using our agents. Now the operations has completed successfully. If we go back to Salesforce and refresh our screen, notice that I got the information. The database ID is now populated. So if we look at Epicor A Smolding Company in the database, we should have that ID now associated with the Salesforce record in the account object. So this is how you can create two operations that do bi-directional data manipulation between Salesforce and database. So now that we've developed our integration, we can certainly look at the operation within our administrative console. So let's take a look at that. Our administrative console is a browser-based application that you can access from anywhere through your desktop, laptop, iPad, iPhone, and this gives you all the information about all the integrations that you have deployed. So we can take a look at our activities, for example, to see what operations have completed, and if there are errors with it, then we can easily investigate and figure out what went wrong, so we can troubleshoot them. We also have the ability to maintain and look at our projects, our environments, such as your production, test, staging, development environment, manage your agent and agent groups. Also have the ability to organize your users, who has access to what projects, what activities they can actually accomplish using the browser. We also have a complete and robust API management platform. Anything that you build within Jitterbit Harmony, any operations that you create can be exposed as an API, so it could be used and called by third-party applications. And we provide a set of rich API analytics that allows you to see how many APIs have been consumed, who's hit it, what has been the results, and a lot of the debug information from a troubleshooting and maintenance perspective. We hope that you enjoyed this video, and we'll see you next time.